Once again opening my eyes, I returned to the exact day my husband died in a car accident. I didn't /T cry or scream, I just calmly took my phone to borrow 10 million yuan under pressure. Interest upon interest, in the blink of an eye, it had skyrocketed to several tens of millions. I am just a housewife, what do I have to repay that debt? So I cried while recording a video as a final farewell. 44 faked death. The debt collector took that video and stormed straight to the art exhibition my husband held for his mistress to demand money. The bill laid out before me, the elegant facade of his mistress immediately crumbled. That fake dead husband could no longer maintain his composure. I was done for, the debt was suddenly wiped clean, while his household registration was still intact, making me furious to the point of seeing red. On the way back from taking my child to kindergarten, my mother-in-law suddenly appeared, gripping my hand tightly, crying until she was choked up. Ha7, I have something to tell you, Don /T be too heartbroken. Jia Ming, sobbing, he /S gone. After saying that, she stared at me, her eyes glimmering with anticipation for my reaction. I paused for a moment, then smirked and raised my hand to slap her hard. The sound was sharp, using all my strength. Refreshing. My mother-in-law staggered back, her cheeks immediately flushed, both shocked and angry. You dare hit me? My father-in-law stared wide-eyed, trembling with anger. He certainly couldn't /T have expected that the dutiful daughter-in-law would strike so decisively without a word. In my past life, when I heard the news that my husband had been in an accident and his body was mangled beyond recognition, it felt like lightning struck me, my head buzzed, and I fainted right there. When I came to, I caused a scene demanding to sue, insisting that the driver give me an explanation, but was stopped by my in-laws. That driver was very unfortunate, having been scared of the crime for so long. He also had a wife and a newborn child. Did you really want to push his whole family into a corner? She is a mother now, how can she be so cruel? I haven't /T even gotten over the shock of losing my husband, and my parents are using morality to bind me to the point where I am not allowed to find out how my husband died. It was my husband /S biological parents who said that. What more could I do? I had to swallow my tears and take care of the funeral arrangements. No matter what, I had to hold a funeral to send him off properly as a wife. I didn't /T expect my in-laws to oppose so vehemently. Do you want everyone to know how tragically my son died? What do you mean? I was at a loss for words. There were many unusual things piling up, but I couldn't /T bear to deepen their pain any further. So I took the household registration book intending to remove my husband /S name, but they stopped me fiercely once again. We only have this one son. Taking him away from the household registration is like ripping our hearts out. How can you be so heartless? Can /T you leave us a little memory? I had no other choice. I didn't /T dare touch the pain of the two elderly people, so I let go and didn't /T get involved in the funeral arrangements anymore. Moreover, it was the first time I lost a husband. I didn't /T even know what to do. I am not a heartless person. I comforted them by saying not to worry, I am still here in the house. I am an orphan, longing for a home since I was little. Faux Trake Min /S parents are also my parents. Since that day, I have had only one thought in my mind, to make money. During the day I work as a salesperson, at night I set up a stall. This way of life lasted for 8 years. I gritted my teeth and endured, and finally managed to open 2 hot pot restaurants. Just when I saved up some money, my in-laws fell ill one after another with terminal diseases. Every month, the cost of chemotherapy and treatment consumed 70 million. The pressure was so heavy that I couldn't sleep at all, not daring to give myself a moment's rest. Then after a bout of flu complications, I fainted at home. In my dying moments, I heard my in-laws quietly complaining. Deep Van Tu is wasteful, all of my son's money has been spent by that girl. Fortunately, Ha Vai is understanding and capable of compensating, yet she died so young, it's truly unfortunate. Forget it, it's already like this, let my son bring Deep Van back, after so many years of playing around, it's time to settle down. As for Havai, she's an orphan, we haven't complained for so many years, giving her a home is already showing our kindness. Thinking of this, my whole body couldn't help but tremble. I tried to suppress the resentment boiling inside me. My gaze hardened as I pointed directly at my mother-in-law's nose and coldly said, "You cursed my husband early this morning. If you dare say another word, even if you are his biological mother, I won't hold back." My mother-in-law's eyes turned red, clearly the slap just now was not light. She mouthed words, trying to explain, "Zhao Ming, my son is really dead." I didn't hesitate. 2 loud slaps echoed clearly left and right. "You dare curse my husband? That cursed mouth should be silenced for me." My father-in-law got angry and stepped forward to push me. Unfortunately, he couldn't push me. I worked all year doing housework. With so many children, my strength was greater than I ever imagined. He shouted, his voice trembling, "Your husband is really dead, hit by a truck, gone without a trace. Crazy woman, how can you beat your wife and then let your husband go?" So I decisively responded to him with 2 slaps. Those 2 slaps were so strong that his dentures flew out, and he panicked, kneeling on the ground searching for them. My in-laws burst into tears, this time it wasn't pretending. They sat down on the ground, crying and slapping their thighs, looking pitifully dejected. "My son has really passed away, we just came to inform my daughter-in-law, and look at her, without asking for details, she just started hitting people, truly a tragic fate, my unfortunate child." Wah wah. A wedding should be supported. The moment the boy passed away, his wife started laying hands on this old couple. The cries made the retired folks around stop and look, starting to point and gossip. "This girl is really cruel, daring to hit her mother-in-law, why didn't she take her husband with her when he died? The youth these days really have no manners at all, it's truly pitiful, at this age still being tormented by a daughter-in-law." Whispers and gossip echoed in my ears. I stood tall without taking a step back. "You say my husband is dead. So where did he die? Which hospital, where's the death certificate?" Just saying it like that is no different from cursing me. The mother-in-law clutched her chest, trembling with agitation. "He was hit by a truck. Wah wah, my son died so tragically. The coroner said that level of injury doesn't need embalming anymore. We were afraid that seeing him would be too much for you, so we took him straight to the crematorium. The ashes are being kept at the funeral home." Saying that, she flipped her phone to show me some blurry photos of a red-stained accident scene. In the picture, my husband's belt and watch are faintly visible. I have to admit that my mother-in-law acts very convincingly. In my past life, I was deceived by that painful appearance. With those additional photos, I had no doubt and completely trusted her. But now I just want to laugh. I tried to force my lips down, awkwardly putting on a look of horror. A hoarse cry escaped from my throat. "No way. Yesterday he even ate the pig's trotter soup I made, how could he suddenly die?" Tears fell silently, my face was pale, my eyes were frantic as if I had lost my soul, my whole body swayed as if about to collapse. My in-laws let out a quiet sigh of relief. In the next moment, I suddenly went crazy and violently threw my mother-in-law's phone to the ground, stepping on it a few times. What can a few photos prove? She is lying to me. If he really is dead, then how did he die? The cremation is done, why hasn't the police called to inform me? Why did you two know first? Why didn't you call me during the cremation? How could someone like him die? He said he would be by my side for life. I don't believe he left like that. I wiped my tears, trying to force a sorrowful smile as if to reassure myself. My in-laws instinctively opened their mouths, but I shouted loudly to interrupt. "That's right, he must not be dead. He's just deceiving me. Who knows, he might have run away with some vixen. That bastard, I will never forgive him." When I emphasized the words vixen, I deliberately stared at my mother-in-law. She flinched, pressed her lips tightly, and took a half step back, not daring to stop me. In the eyes of outsiders, I was just someone who had gone mad from excessive sorrow. They looked at me with a mix of pity and astonishment, while I turned and ran straight home, slamming the door shut. As soon as I got inside, I immediately took out my phone, gathered all the loans, and finally had enough for 10 million. This amount is the limit of the loan, not my limit. I kept borrowing until I couldn't borrow anymore, then I slowly put the phone down. Finally, I sent a distress message to my childhood friend from the orphanage. Can you help me change to a new identity? Actually, the only benefit of being an orphan is that my identification papers are not complete. My friend has tricks for working in the black market. This matter was settled just like that. After everything was arranged, there was a loud knock at the door accompanied by a familiar female voice. Havai, can you calm down a bit? I know you're heartbroken right now, but don't be so agitated. A few days ago, I met Trake Min, and he mentioned you. I didn't / expect it to be his last words. Don / you want to hear what he said? Open the door, Havai, we need to talk. Hearing that voice, my whole body couldn't / help but tremble. Deep Van is the closest confidant of Pho Trake Min, and she is also his Binoyet Kwong. It was the first time he took me to meet his group of friends. In front of everyone, Deep Van pulled Pho Trake Min and pressed his head into her chest, laughing, boys really have heavy tastes. Do you like it this way? That was the first time I was publicly humiliated. I felt both embarrassed and angry. Before I could speak, Deep Van laughed loudly. Sister-in-law, Don / be angry, I / am just being carefree like a boy. Once a / said, it / done, Don / take it to heart, I was just complimenting you. My darling son is really lucky. Pho Trake Min also spoke up, she has been like this since she was little, she means no harm, just a bit mischievous, Don / take it to heart. At that time our feelings were still strong, and we had just received our marriage certificate. I didn't / want to let that matter cause a rift, so I could only swallow it down. When I was pregnant, Deep Van invited Pho Trake Min out for drinks every other day. If he didn't / go, she would giggle. Ms. Y teased him, asking if he had forgotten his friends now that he had a wife. With Deep Van, Pho Trake Min could only lower his head. He thought his Binoyet Kwong was open-minded and unique, believing that all other women in the world were boring. But in Deep Van / eyes, he and his friends were just backup players for her amusement. Instead of choosing one person, Deep Van reveled in the achievements of being surrounded by a group of boys, occasionally dropping bait for them to come running when called. When one of them had a girlfriend, she didn't / distinguish between genders, getting touchy-feely with the guys while behind their backs, she criticized girls for being jealous. It's troublesome, when I gave birth, I switched from natural delivery to a C-section, and I couldn't get out of bed for 3 days straight. Deep Van called and sarcastically said that women tend to overreact, and I just endured it. I walked out of the orphanage, having longed for the warmth of a family since I was little. From the moment I was with Pho Trake Min, I thought about spending the rest of my life together, building a home. I don't want to let go until I've reached a dead end. Moreover, aside from being overly biased towards Deep Van, Pho Trake Min really hasn't done anything that crosses clear boundaries. Until his family's old house was cleared, overnight, the Pho family changed their fate. Deep Van, who used to dress like a boy, suddenly started to wear delicate makeup and soft dresses, and she gradually appeared with quite a few expensive designer items. Later, in every word spoken by Pho Trake Min, there was a hint of admiration for her. Once, I shared a funny story about my child in kindergarten, and he seemed to remember something, a smile forming at the corners of his mouth. Can't you do something more meaningful? Like painting, learning some art? All day it's just about the kids and family, don't you have anything you want to do, any hobbies or dreams? Or when he saw me standing in front of the mirror washing my face, he shook his head slightly, can't you learn how to dress properly? Deep Van dresses with such charisma, where do I get that from? Money is abundant. All my clothes are just items hunted down on sale online, and what Deep Van calls art is ultimately just built with money, so it doesn't require much real skill. Outside, Deep Van began to lose patience. The loud calling pulled me back to reality, and I opened the door to Ha Ton Vai. What do you mean by that? Are you pretending not to hear inside? How many brothers are waiting out here? I regained my composure and, before she could finish her sentence, I forcefully pulled the door open. Deep Van stumbled and lost her balance, then fell heavily to the ground. She raised her head and struggled to glare at me. By instinct, she intended to scold me, but seeing my red eyes and remembering today's purpose, she gritted her teeth and stood up by herself. Deep Van didn't come alone, she brought along a group of brothers who were once close to Faux Trach Min, and her in-laws quietly followed behind. I knew they just wanted to put on a complete show to gain my trust so that I wouldn't cause trouble with Faux Trach Min and Deep Van. After all, Deep Van was no longer an ordinary person but a beautiful female artist who had gained some fame on the platform. Faux Trach Min wanted to stand by her side, so of course, he had to break free from family ties. I sighed softly. Trach Min is gone, I'm just a housewife now, and I have to raise 2 children. It's easy for everyone to talk, but how am I supposed to live? / As soon as money was mentioned, everyone exchanged glances, and no one said anything more. Finally, my in-laws stepped forward and took out 800 yuan from their pocket to give to me. Ha 7, don't worry, it was 800 before, and it's still 800 now. These old folks won't let you lack a single dime, no matter how hard it gets. I almost laughed. The Faux family wasn't doing badly at all, with their combined pension of 18,000 a month, plus compensation for relocation, they had naturally become a newly rich household. Yet here I was, a housewife in that family, receiving only 800 yuan a month, and if I wanted to buy anything beyond the budget, I had to provide a clear reason. My nature was soft and truly lenient, making it hard for me to speak up. After graduating, I married Faux Trach Min and was tied down by 800 yuan a month for 4 years. Then Faux Trach Min faked his death, and my in-laws shamelessly moved in, claiming they were there to take care of me. In reality, I was the one managing all the meals and daily activities. 800 yuan was never enough, I had to go out and set up stalls, do sales, lose face, and fight for every order. For the first time, I truly earned 800 yuan by myself. It only took me a week. The moment I held the money in my hand, I suddenly realized how ridiculous my past was. From then on, my mindset completely changed. Now, seeing those 2 hand over 800 yuan while still looking regretful, I feel indifferent. I took a deep breath and tightened my grip on the phone. Mom and Dad, you can keep this little money. I heard that car accidents can be compensated. The driver might not have money, but surely there must be insurance. Moreover, social insurance also has burial money and death benefits. When they handed me the death certificate, I went to process the money. As soon as I heard that, everyone turned pale, and my in-laws' faces went white, quickly stopping me. No way. I raised an eyebrow. Why not? I can't stand it. My mother-in-law stammered and then immediately changed her tone. Havai, what you're doing is like pouring salt into my heart. I can't bear to see those things. It's already painful for an old person to send off a young one. Why are you still forcing me? She started to cry again. She cried, and I cried too. How can one live on 800 yuan? Maybe we should sell the house. That's right, how can I live alone? Thinking that, I immediately picked up the phone to call the broker. My in-laws were startled, almost jumping up at the same time. No way, absolutely not. They took turns to stop me. Some said that Faux Trach Min was a kind person who didn't want to cause trouble for anyone. Others said that the old couple couldn't stand the idea of losing their household registration, let alone selling the house. Seeing them sweating, their faces pale, and their hands and feet flustered, I couldn't help but laugh coldly inside. How clumsy and poorly acted they were, and back then I believed them without a doubt. Of course, I'm not in a hurry to expose them now. After scaring them for a while, I pretended to be convinced, sighed softly, all right, I don't want Trach Min to leave with any burdens. Everyone then breathed a sigh of relief. My in-laws even casually asked me to cook, all friends of Trach Min. I have to treat them properly. Even though my own son hasn't settled his affairs yet, they're already thinking about food. Treat them? I must be really free. I smiled faintly and directly opened my phone to order takeout. The dishes I had never dared to touch before because I was saving money. Today, I'm ordering everything. It's not my money. Spending it feels so refreshing, not a bit regretful. Living again, anyone can suffer, but I absolutely cannot continue to suffer. I turned to him, my voice softening. Parents, you two can rest assured, even though he is no longer here, I am still your daughter-in-law. I will take care of you until the end. You two take this money back. I have been married to Trake Min for many years, and I have relied on him to accumulate quite a bit enough to support you two. You two had tears in your eyes, looking genuinely moved. Perhaps in their eyes, 800 yuan is a significant amount. I am not sad enough to pay attention to those details. Half a month later, I spent money for my in-laws without any hesitation. Very quickly, the first loan was due, and I continued to take out new loans to pay off the old ones. The interest doubled. On this side, my father-in-law complained of headaches and dizziness. I immediately made him a premium membership card. My mother-in-law said it was getting cheaper and lower quality, so I took her straight to the beauty center. They enjoyed themselves to the point of being insatiable, with increasingly high demands, and I tried my best to meet the needs of myself and the two children. I also shopped tirelessly. Before long, the second loan was due, and I continued to take out new loans to pay off the old ones, and the interest doubled again. Just then, the first oil painting exhibition of Deep Van opened, promoting independent women and a strong image. Deep Van quickly gained some fame. She continued to pour money into promoting herself, building the image of a strong woman of the new era. The distorted paintings that were unclear in what they depicted were described by her in exaggerated terms as being very abstract. Occasionally scrolling through the internet, I would see videos of her standing in the art museum speaking eloquently. Sometimes talking about creative inspiration, other times discussing women's perspectives. In the frame, she is exquisitely made up, her eyes bright and her voice clear. For me, the most important thing is independence. Women should absolutely not take pride in being homemakers. A woman's life cannot be confined to the kitchen and four walls. What's so great about relying on men? Many men surround me, but they only deserve to be toyed with. To be honest, even though I've lived two lives and no longer believe in love, I find her propaganda extremely toxic. Whether a woman is in the business world or just a small homemaker, who doesn't have their own sword? Loving oneself is the key. Love, men, or women are not the crux of the matter. In my past life, it wasn't until I died that I understood the warmth of family that I longed for. It turned out to be just an illusion. In a street video, I briefly saw a figure suspected to be faux Trake Min bustling about backstage. Perhaps he doesn't know that the image of the independent female artist that Deep Van painstakingly created is merely a stepping stone for her to rise higher. In my past life, my in-laws hoped Deep Van would settle down and be content at home, but she just brushed them off and followed a guy to America to change her life in an instant. I stared at the screen for a long time and then gently hit like. Just then, my friend sent a message. I'm ready, when are you coming over? I looked at the two boys sleeping soundly beside me and took a deep breath. Tomorrow afternoon at Chengdu Bridge, my in-laws are strict with me, but they aren't too harsh with the two grandsons. Just in case, I still installed 2 cameras in the house. The next day, on the way to take my child to kindergarten, I told them to repeat it one more time. What should we do if mom has an accident? The 2 kids, still with their baby voices, argued, I know, find grandma, find grandpa, and we can also look for dad. If we can /T find them, then look for Uncle Truong. We have a very fast GPS watch that will help us find them. Mom also left us a piggy bank for savings, that /S our secret, we can /T tell anyone. Children don't /T understand what passing away means. Confirming they remembered, I waved and turned to leave. My phone was almost blown up by debt collection calls. This time I answered the phone, no longer softly promising but responding excitedly. I told you, I don't /t have any money, I /am just a housewife. My husband just passed away, I know how to manage. I still have to support the family, my son needs to eat, and my in-laws also need to eat. What other choice do I have besides borrowing money? Who told you guys not to assess carefully and let a housewife like me borrow? My husband /s name is Fo Trake Min, if you have the guts, go down and find him to collect. The other side was furious, starting to threaten. I immediately shouted, okay, you don't /t need to take action, I /am coming right now. I /am going right now. I am at the Chengdu Bridge. You guys come over. I stood on the bridge, tears streaming down my face, my eyes red and swollen. In front of the phone camera, I choked up recounting the entire process of borrowing money. I just want to help my husband take good care of the family. I also don't /t understand why the interest on interest has become so much. I really can /t afford it. I /am sorry, I couldn't /t fulfill your wish. It /s all my fault for not knowing my own limits, and also for being too greedy. After saying that, I was 44. This is the newly built bridge, with sparse traffic. When the debt collectors arrived, all they saw was the phone lying on the crane with the farewell video still saved in the album. As for me, I was safely assisted by friends and then disappeared from this world. The two boys, Dung and Lak, waited a long time at kindergarten without seeing me come to pick them up. Recalling my advice, they immediately called their grandparents. I was hiding completely in a corner, watching my in-laws rush to pick up the kids, while still whispering harsh words into the ears of the two children. Your mother is really irresponsible, she didn't /t even come for her own child, making us old folks run back and forth. Dung and Lak immediately retorted. She speaks ill of mother, she is the one who is not good. My mother-in-law was so angry that she stomped her feet, the more she scolded, the harsher it became. The two children burst into tears asking to call the police. Passers-by, seeing this, felt pity and helped call. My in-laws had to take the two kids to the station and wait for nearly 2 hours. In the meantime, Dung and Lak were even given hamburgers to eat. After finishing the two paintings, the police finally confirmed it was just a misunderstanding. Once home, after a day of restraint, my in-laws finally exploded. Ha Tanbai looked to see how she was teaching her children, but they searched everywhere and still couldn't /t find me. At this point, the two really panicked, yet still forced a voice, is this lazy child really daring to hide? On the second day I didn't show up, and the same on the third day. My in-laws began to feel restless. They called their son. But to fully act it out, Fo Trake Min had changed his number long ago, even his parents didn't know. By the third day and then the fifth, the phone at home started to receive continuous calls demanding payment. The two of them couldn't ignore it. Because when borrowing money, I had filled in all the backup contacts, all were relatives from my in-laws' hometown. In the past few days, aunts and uncles have been calling to ask what exactly happened, why there was such a large debt. It was only at this point that my in-laws pieced together the whole truth. I borrowed a huge amount and then disappeared. The two looked at each other, their eyes filled with panic and anger. Did he dare to borrow money? Did he spend money that was all borrowed? So where did the money my son gave him over the years go? When I saw that scene on the camera, I didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Chu Tu Kim sitting next to me also burst out laughing. How did you end up with in-laws like that? I still feel a bit bitter. The happiness I once dreamed of was like a bait that made me willingly step into a trap. Only when I had to pay with my life did I wake up. Fortunately, there was still a chance to live again, to escape in time. It was not too late. For the past few days, being continuously threatened for debt, the elderly couple was so angry that their blood pressure skyrocketed. They shouted on the phone, "It's my daughter-in-law who borrowed money, what does it have to do with us? If you want to find her, go ahead." The voice on the other end was cold, "She is your daughter-in-law. If I don't look for you, who should I look for?" Moreover, it has already jumped in and died. Pay up. If you don't pay, I will let everyone know that your family is dodging debts. Before retiring, my in-laws were civil servants, and even in a small town, they could still hold their heads high. They need honor. Gather enough to return more than 200,000. But right after that, there was another call demanding an additional 500,000. My in-laws completely collapsed. At this point, they realized that the debt collection calls over the past few days were basically not from the same party. Now, it's impossible to calculate the total debt. Thinking about the more than 200,000 just thrown away felt like the sound of water splashing. My heart ached to the point of choking. My father-in-law was so angry that he fainted. My mother-in-law panicked and called emergency services at 120. My father-in-law was hospitalized, my mother-in-law was in a daze, completely unable to care for the two children. Deung and Lak woke up to find the house empty with not a soul in sight. They remembered my advice and immediately used the Hawaii Tai watch to contact Chutu Kim. Chutu Kim and I grew up together in the orphanage. He is 3 years older than me, mature in character, careful in his work, and has been our most reliable older brother since childhood. Therefore, I felt very reassured to entrust the two children to him. My in-laws are sick and have no one to take care of them, yet they are often harassed by debt collectors who come to the door. During the day, those people do not dare to do anything to the elderly couple, but their scrutinizing gazes and whispers around are enough to make them feel suffocated. In the end, they had to find ways through Pho Trach Min/S friends to trace his new phone number. At this moment, Pho Trach Min and Deep Van are in the sweetest phase of their relationship. Deep Van transformed under the love and support of Pho Trach Min, becoming a beautiful and sought-after artist. After the successful first exhibition, he held a celebration party for her. On the surface, it was a congratulatory event, but in reality, it was to lay the foundation for Deep Van/S connections. It was at that party that Deep Van met the famous foreign artist Zhao Wei. Thanks to J/S introduction, she had the opportunity to develop smoothly abroad. Meanwhile, Pho Trach Min played the role of a silent supporter, quietly standing next to Deep Van. He lived in the illusion of reaching his Bok Noyet Kwang, no longer caring about his elderly parents and 2 young children. Just when the artist was about to express a desire to collaborate with her, the debt collectors showed up. The banquet room door was pushed open forcefully, and all eyes turned towards it. A group of people in neatly tailored black suits entered, their cold demeanor silencing the entire hall. Pho Trach Min was about to step forward to stop them when the leader, Lu Kwang, raised an eyebrow, compared the photo in his hand, and asked, "Are you Pho Trach Min, husband of Ha Tan Vai?" Hearing my name, Pho Trach Min/S expression changed slightly. A housewife like me should have no connection with these people, let alone a reason to appear in such a situation. After confirming that no one around recognized that name, Pho Trach Min calmly said, "No, you/VE got the wrong person, please leave. This is an exhibition hall, not a place anyone can enter." Lu Kwang sneered, waving his hand to signal the people behind him to turn on the projector. "You have money to organize an exhibition but no money to pay your debts. Look closely, what kind of person is the owner of this exhibition?" The next moment, an image of me crying appeared on the big screen. I was holding a wedding photo frame with Pho Trach Min, tears streaming down my face. "Honey, I'm sorry, today Mom said she feels dizzy, everything seems uncomfortable. I really can't bear it, but I have no money, so I had to borrow some to take Mom to the hospital for checkups, the treatment still doesn't help. Then I registered Mom for Lin 2 classes. After just one session, she felt much better. It's just one Lin 2 session costing 88,888. But that's our mom, as long as it's good for her, I'm willing to spend the money." "Honey, why did you leave so early?" "I really have no other way. Today Dad said his leg hurts, do you remember? Mr. Nakui said that magical cup keeps warm, drinking from it will prevent his legs from getting cold. I gritted my teeth and spent 18.88 to buy it." The debt collectors called again. "I'm so scared. It's all my fault. I'm useless, I can't help you take care of your parents well. I really have no way out. Honey, we'll meet down there. Scene transition. I threw myself down. Vice Xiaoming's expression gradually became gloomy. It can't be, this is fake, it's a collage technology. How can my wife dance? He shouted, intending to rush forward but was blocked by the man in the black suit. Lu Kuang laughed coldly, believe it or not, it's up to you. In this kind of weather, jumping into the sea will either lead to death or freezing to death. Fo Trake Min, we know your account has money, you lied to your wife saying you didn't have any to borrow money for raising your child and supporting your parents, while you pretended to be dead and came here to hold an exhibition for the mistress. Do you have any shame left? Look closely, everyone. The owner of this museum pretended to be dead to deceive his first wife, and used his savings to support the mistress in art. The entire auditorium fell silent for a moment before whispers began to spread everywhere. Deep Van's face turned pale, and she asked, who are you calling the mistress? Lu Kuang laughed coldly, those who have a guilty conscience know it themselves. Oh, I heard that the wealthy lady worked hard on her own, but it turns out she is also someone who uses her own capital. What's wrong? Do you want to set up a shrine while being a prostitute? I disdain this, hurry up and pay, said the man. The audience immediately stirred, the owner who had just placed a deposit on the painting stood up to cancel the order right away. At that moment, a wealthy lady who was about to sign the contract also coldly put away her pen. Many people felt burned, and they collectively demanded a refund for their tickets. The atmosphere in the hall shifted from lively to furious. Fo Trake Min panicked, straining his neck and shouted, you are talking nonsense, I will sue you for defamation. Deep Van also changed color. What scared her was not the crowd but the contemptuous glance that briefly crossed the face of the mistress. Mistress, I really am not the third party. He and I are just innocent friends, like brothers, and besides, I'm still single. Every painting in the exhibition was painted by me, and has nothing to do with him. But Zhao Wei still maintained her cold demeanor. After firmly refusing to cooperate, he turned and left without looking back. Deep Van's face turned pale. The opportunity she had prepared for half a year just evaporated into thin air. She shot Fo Trake Min a cold glare before turning and walking away. Fo Trake Min intended to chase after her but was stopped by Lu Kuang raising his hand. He pointed to my selfie video on the screen. This is your wife, right? Fo Trake Min still wanted to deny it. Lu Kuang had pulled out the marriage registration he found at my house. This is your wife, right? This time he had nothing left to say. Lu Kuang nodded, his voice calm. Debts must be repaid, that's only natural. If not, I would have said, wherever you go, I will follow. I will let everyone know what kind of person you are. The Fo family values their reputation, how could they endure this scene? But Fo Trake Min didn't want to bear that huge debt either, so he immediately chose to report to the police. He intended to stall for time and find a way to evade. Unfortunately, the police came only to remind the debt collectors not to disrupt normal living. That day they left, but the next morning they appeared right on time at his doorstep. The prolonged time not only made Fo Trake Min unable to bear it, but also made his relatives gradually lose patience. Time and again being pursued by creditors, ruining engagements of acquaintances due to debts, and with no news or whereabouts of me, even Deep Van during this time deliberately kept her distance from him. In the end, Fo Trake Min could no longer endure it, gritting his teeth to gather over 18 million to pay off. Upon hearing that news, Chu Tu Kim immediately informed me. The corners of my mouth slightly curled up. In my previous life, 800 yuan was a struggle, and now over 18 million is paid off so decisively. Truly self-inflicted. When will you pick up the kids? Chu Tu Kim asked. Fo Trake Min didn't care at all about the lives of the two children. The old couple has been there for half a month without a word. Hearing that, my gaze darkened. In the past few days, I didn't want to make a fuss, so I quietly monitored the situation of picking up the kids.
This story is
Seeing that
brought
they
to you by
truly
Brainy
abandoned
Vibe.
the two children, I felt a bit of regret for not taking them with me at that time. But now is still not the right time. Nevertheless, I still approached the kindergarten teacher, quietly giving her some money to take better care of the two children, instructing her to say externally that it was out of compassion for the children having no place to rely on. As for Faux Min, his retribution has only just begun. He still believes that the relationship between him and Deep Van is pure. After repaying the debt, there was less than 2 million left in the account, and Deep Van's attitude immediately changed from gentle and soft to cold and distant. When he called, she hung up several times. Faux Min, annoyed, directly blocked her downstairs, and as soon as he opened his mouth, he demanded that she go take care of his parents. Deep Van had just gained some popularity, but quickly fell victim to the label of a third party, being scolded online as soon as she appeared, feeling the cold stares wherever she went. Fortunately, her skin is thick enough that the rumors didn't break her down, instead, they made her bolder, but the traffic has dropped significantly. In other words, she has been neglected by the investors. At that moment, hearing Faux Min ask her to take care of his parents, Deep Van immediately got angry. Why? Faux Min was furious, his voice righteous, saying it was all because she had plotted for him to fake his death. Now look, my parents are so angry they might have a stroke, my wife left because of this, shouldn't you take responsibility? Deep Van crossed her arms, smiled faintly, brother, we are all adults, why do you do whatever I tell you? Now if I told you to go die, would you go, go ahead? The way he addressed her felt both distant and cold. Deep Van, what do you mean? Stay away from me. Faux Min, if we are brothers, don't be so serious. Faux Min was taken aback, and then two tall men stepped forward, casually putting their arms around Deep Van. She pointed at him, half jokingly, half resentfully. You are the one who calls me brother but has ulterior motives towards me, just now you even tried to lay hands on me. Faux Min couldn't believe it. You're talking nonsense, I spent over 10 million on you, we even slept together. Before he could finish, a slap landed on his face. The two men immediately rushed in to punch and kick. Half an hour later, Faux Min was thrown onto the roadside like a discarded item. By the next morning, the sanitation workers discovered him and called an ambulance to take him to the hospital. He was in a coma for 3 days before waking up, but the first thing he did was not to find Deep Van to settle the score, but to publicly offer a reward for information about me. I was scrolling through my phone when I saw my face appearing everywhere. Faux Min was both crying and missing me, while offering a reward of 100,000 to find me. I froze, my whole body stiffening. In the video, he holds a letter saying he wants to send it to me. I know you haven't died, I know you hate me. I just ask you to give me a chance to make amends for the wrongs I've done to you. I am willing to pay any price to make up for it. Please give me a chance. My heart is racing. It took 3 days to regain consciousness, and when I did, it felt like I had become a different person. Could it be that he has come back to life? That thought flashed through my mind, and my whole body went cold. With no other way out, I decided to go abroad to get my face fixed. I adjusted it to the point that even Shu Tu Kim hesitated to recognize me. Only then did I feel at ease. Now not only has my identity changed, but my appearance has also completely transformed. Even if Faux Min stood right in front of me, he wouldn't be able to recognize me. On the other side, Deep Van has gotten to know a wealthy businessman and is preparing to go abroad for a vacation with him. Faux Min learned the news and was filled with hatred, especially lying in wait nearby. When Deep Van just stepped out of the train station, he pulled out what he had prepared and stabbed her right in the middle of the crowd. The armed police quickly surrounded the area. Faux Min was restrained but still turned to the crowd and shouted loudly. Havai, do you see this? I have personally avenged you now, this time you will definitely forgive me, right? In the sea of people, his expression was distorted to a terrifying degree. The crowd was in complete panic, and I had just gotten off the plane, witnessing everything firsthand, feeling only a chilling sensation down my spine. After that, Fo Trach Min was arrested. In the cabinet, he still did not forget to write a letter to me. This time I got it. In the letter, amidst lines of regret, he indeed mentioned the matter of resurrection. I just learned that in his previous life, he discovered Deep Van's infidelity and was taken to northern Myanmar by her wealthy husband. It was a tragic departure. I slapped my thigh with a bang. Why didn't I think of such a neat solution back then? On the day Fo Trach Min was sentenced, I took my 2 sons to the nursing home to visit my parents-in-law. I informed them of this news. The 2 of them were so angry their faces twisted, and a sudden illness struck again. I smiled gently, turned around, and led my 2 sons to the police station to change their last names to my surname, Ha. Ha is not my original surname. I was abandoned as a child, like Chu Tu Kim, and was named by the director of the institute. That's fine too. For the rest of my life, I no longer stubbornly need a complete family. As long as my heart is at peace, anywhere is home. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. I truly appreciate your comments, suggestions, and feelings. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next stories.